What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Truth Be Told podcast. My name's Xavier, and today we're going to be reacting to Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 1.0. Let's get straight into it. With the first pick in the draft, Daniel Jeremiah has the Tennessee Titans drafting Abdul Carter out of Penn State. He said it was because the Titans GM came out and said that they wouldn't pass on a generational talent with the first pick. Now, a lot of people think the Titans are going to go quarterback, specifically Cam Ward here, but after he made this comment of drafting a generational talent, there's only one or two of those guys in this draft, and those players are Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. And I think Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft, so I'll agree with Daniel Jeremiah here. With the second pick in the draft, we have the Cleveland Browns drafting Travis Hunter. He said quarterback is in play here for the Browns, but in this scenario, they pick Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winning two-way star. I'm in the minority as someone who prefers him as a full-time offensive player who moonlights on defense. Now, I am going to have to disagree with him on that last statement here. I think it's a lot easier to show up on offense every few plays than it is on defense. So I actually have Travis Hunter as a full-time quarterback and a receiver who can really play half the snaps on offense, maybe on your guaranteed throwing it downs, stuff like that. But I will agree that Travis Hunter is the best pick here for the Cleveland Browns if Abdul Carter is off the board. Now, if Abdul Carter is on the board, I would love to see them pair him up with Myles Garrett and form the best edge rusher combo in the NFL. At pick 3, here we have Cam Ward. The New York Giants are desperate for a quarterback. Ward's strong arm and playmaking ability would be a great fit. Now, I agree with this. If you're here at pick 3 and you want to save your job as Joe Shane, this is who you pick. It's your best chance, right? Cam Ward isn't a generational talent like I thought Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow were, but Cam Ward is solid enough that he's going to be an improvement on what you had because pretty much anyone can do that. At the 4th pick, we have the New England Patriots making a pretty surprising move here, taking Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU. His reasoning for this is he said the Patriots must help Drake May on the offensive line. I see Campbell as a safe, steady player who is still improving. Now, the reason I disagree with him here is Will Campbell has pretty short arms. I don't think he can play tackle in the NFL, but who knows? He may surprise us. But what I would love the Patriots to do here is get a weapon, right? I think they should probably trade down here, but with no trades, probably a guy like Tet McMillan would be a really solid pick for him. Pick 5, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Mason Graham. Now, Mason Graham is a really, really good prospect. This guy flashes off the tape, and he can be one of those interior disruptors like a Chris Jones or an Aaron Donald. This guy can make some plays on a talented Jaguars team that just doesn't play up to expectations for whatever reason. He said Graham is one of the cleaner evaluations in the draft. He provides unbelievable quickness, balance, and instincts, and for this, I'd have to agree. Now, with the 6th pick in the draft, we have the Las Vegas Raiders drafting Shedeur Sanders. Tom Brady, now a partner in the Raiders' ownership, is someone who would appreciate Sanders' toughness, accuracy, and decision-making. I do agree. Shedeur is a really, really accurate quarterback coming in this draft, but by no means is he a day one NFL draft starter at this moment. He's got a lot of bad habits that he's picked up playing at Colorado, and I think if he were to sit for about half the season or one full season, he does have the potential to be a solid quarterback in the NFL. Pick 7, we've got the New York Jets drafting Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. Warren is one of my favorite players in this draft. He'll be popular with his quarterback and running backs as a different maker inline tight end. Now, what inline tight end means is just a traditional tight end who's going to block and play receiver. And I agree, Tyler Warren is one of the best tight end prospects we've seen. Not near Brock Bowers, but this guy is going to make plays for whoever drafts him. I like the Jets taking him here. Maybe shore up that defense with Aaron Glenn being your new head coach, but Tyler Warren is a can't-miss prospect in my opinion. Next, you've got the Carolina Panthers taking Tet McMillan out of Arizona. The Panthers continue to build around Bryce Young with a big, rangy, and athletic receiver in McMillan. He'll be a red zone menace. If Tet is here, this is the best pick available for the Panthers. Now, I personally think Tet's probably going to get traded up for at this point if he's still here by 8. But I do agree if Tet is here, he is their best pick by far. This is a guy who can separate but still has that large frame to go up and make those contested catches. Home run pick for them. With the 9th pick in the draft, we have the Saints adding Mykel Williams. Williams played hurt all season long, but his tools are exceptional. I'll agree. Mykel Williams is a great pass rusher. He's going to do what needs to be done for this Saints team, who has an aging player like Cam Jordan, who's probably going to retire in the next few years. But I'm under the influence that the Saints really need offensive weapons. Whether that means you trading back and getting a guy or two in the late first and early second round, but I just do not see them not addressing the offense in this draft in some type of way. With the 10th pick in the draft, we have the Chicago Bears taking Tyler Booker. He said, I think Booker is one of the safest picks in this draft. He will help firm up the interior offensive line for Caleb Williams. And I agree. Tyler Booker is a surefire pick at guard. The problem, he's a guard. Guards are not valued that highly in the NFL, so I'd be very surprised if the Chicago Bears take him at 10 instead of a guy like Ashton Jeanty, or trading back and taking Tyler Booker around the 14 to 18 range. That's where I'd rather see him go. Now we have the 49ers taking Armand Membu. Membu is the most technically sound offensive lineman in this class. He reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker when he entered the league. Membu will be an exceptional guard who can also play tackle if needed. That's something that's interesting here. He has Membu listed as an interior offensive lineman. A lot of people see him as a tackle in the NFL, so it's really up to their discretion. They could probably draft him, have him at guard, and then when Trent Williams retires, move him out to tackle if you need to do so. But I do think it's a solid pick. Like I said, a guard, it seems like a little bit of a reach here, but he's a solid prospect. Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys taking Ashton Jeanty. If he is here, this is the home run pick for them. It makes the most sense. They could not run the ball all last season. Dak is a solid quarterback with a good running game. So I think if Jeanty is here at pick 12, you have to take him. However, I don't know what the Cowboys have going on with that head coaching situation. Brian Schottenheimer was not a good hire by Jerry Jones. He continues to make questionable decisions, so hopefully he makes a good one here. Next, we have the Miami Dolphins drafting Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. He said, nothing is more important for the Dolphins than protecting Tua Tagovailoa. Banks could do that at tackle or guard. I agree. I see him as a tackle in the NFL, but I do believe that Kelvin Banks Jr. is a solid pick here. And like you said, Tua likes to play on time and in rhythm. This can't happen if you're constantly getting pressured. So I see this as a great pick for them. Here we have one of the steals of the first round in Jahdae Barron with the 14th pick for the Colts. He says, I think you'll see the buzz around Barron continue to grow. He possesses great quickness, instincts, and ball skills. And I agree 100%. You got a guy like Kenny Moore in the slot. If you pair up Jahdae Barron with him, I think this could be an incredible secondary here with the Colts to help shore up their chances of building this roster. But they definitely need a quarterback, in my opinion. That'll probably come in the next draft. I don't think Anthony Richardson is their guy moving forward. Next, you have pick 15, the Atlanta Falcons taking Will Johnson. This is a questionable pick to me because, to me, down the stretch, I saw the Falcons needing help on that D-line. They were getting no pressure consistently, and it was making the secondary look a lot worse than it really was. And Will Johnson, as he mentioned here, his top speed isn't really all that, and his tackling isn't either. So I don't think he's going to be very successful on his team that doesn't have a great D-line. So I would even like them taking Jalen Walker or Walter Nolan, one of the next two picks he has in this draft here instead of Will Johnson. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals taking Jalen Walker. Walker is a bit undersized as an edge rusher, but he offers an intriguing mix of length, explosiveness, and playmaking ability. These are guys that they usually like in the draft, right? Those project guys who are super, super talented, and that's what Jalen Walker is. And the Cardinals like drafting players like this. Now they have a new GM, so who knows? I think they could personally use some offensive line help here, but I think that's still a solid pick for them. Next, we got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. Nolan is a dynamic interior disruptor. He would be a key part of a turnaround under new Bengals defensive coordinator Al Golden. Number one, I do not understand why they fired Lou Anarumo. It was not his fault that the talent on defense was not good because the GM let them walk away. But I think Walter Nolan is a great pick, very explosive disruptor in that interior who can also make a lot of plays. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks picking Kenneth Grant, Michigan D-tackle. Mike McDonald looks back to his old stomping grounds in Michigan to select Grant, who would be part of a great interior trio with Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy II. Keep in mind that Jaron Reed and Jonathan Hankins are headed for free agency. I like this pick. I don't think it's necessarily a major position of need because Leonard Williams just had one of the best seasons of his career. Byron Murphy's a young guy who you just drafted in the first round last year. And Kenneth Grant is definitely better than Byron Murphy, in my opinion, but I think you need O-line help here if you're the Seattle Seahawks. Next, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Jihad Campbell, which I think is a pick that fits them perfectly. They rave about Campbell's leadership and versatility at Alabama. He's a unique player because of his size and length as an off-ball linebacker. With Levante David and KJ Britt ticketed for free agency, the Bucs feel a need. Now, I hope they bring Levante David back and pair him with Jihad Campbell, but if they don't, I think Jihad is a surefire pick here. Shore up that run defense that struggled at times when they didn't commit a lot of bodies into the box. The Denver Broncos take Nick Amanwari. Amanwari gave me some Derwin James vibes when I studied him. I love his instincts and production. I agree. He is a great player, flashes on the field. However, with the Denver Broncos, I think they need weapons on that offense too bad, and I like them taking a guy like Matthew Golden or Colston Loveland with these next two picks that happen rather than Nick, because the Broncos have a pretty fire defense, but they need a little more help on that offense. Pittsburgh Steelers take Matthew Golden out of Texas. I don't think the Steelers could go wrong drafting Golden or Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka here. They go with Golden in this case, but they are both professional route runners with outstanding hands and toughness. I agree, if Matthew Golden is here, he's probably the best pick on the board. Egbuka does a lot of things right, but he's not near as explosive as Matthew Golden, and that's what they really need in this passing game is one more explosive option, especially if they're going to trade George Pickens. With pick 22, we have the LA Chargers taking Colston Loveland. I think this is a perfect pick for Jim Harbaugh. Tyler Warren is gone. I think that fits his offense perfectly, but Colston Loveland is a guy who's going to be able to come in and help out in the slot, allow Ladd McConkey to get some more favorable matchups. The Chargers need to give Justin Herbert more firepower. The coaching staff will be extremely familiar with what Loveland brings to the table because Jim Harbaugh coached him at Michigan. I mean, this makes perfect sense right up there with Ashton Genty. The Packers love front seven players from the SEC with outstanding traits. Stewart fits the mold. So here you see the Green Bay Packers taking Shamar Stewart out of A&M. The Packers love taking front seven in the first round of the draft, especially in picks 20 to 28, it seems like. And that pass rush kind of disappeared down the stretch last year. They traded away Preston Smith, who was kind of a rotational guy, and Rashawn Gary kind of fell off to end the season. So I like that pick there. But the pick after it is probably the steal of this entire first round. Here you got the Minnesota Vikings taking Malachi Starks, who I have graded as a top 7 player in this draft, but he's a safety. Starks didn't make as many plays as we're accustomed to seeing from him in 2024, but people at Georgia rave about his intangibles, leadership, and work ethic. He has the versatility to play over the top or cover the slot, and I agree with this 100%. Now, pick 25, this is weird to me because in my mock draft, I have Luther Burden getting drafted well ahead of this. I think if he's there for the Broncos, they take him without a shadow of a doubt. But if he falls here for the Texans with Stephon Diggs leaving in free agency and Tank Dell probably being out for the entire season, it's a great pick. The LA Rams take Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. I'm still getting used to seeing the Rams make picks in the first round after their 7 draft gap from 2017 to 2023. Team poured resources in the defensive line in the last draft. They flipped the script and take care of the offensive line in the first round this year. I agree they need help on that O-line. If Matthew Stafford does choose to come back and not retire, he's going to need to be protected well, which we saw was a slight struggle in that NFC Championship game, or NFC Divisional Round game, rather, against the Eagles. So I love that pick there. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking Azareye'h Thomas out of Florida State. The Ravens double dip on drafting big, long corners after selecting Nate Wiggins last year. Thomas is a smooth, fluid athlete. In my opinion, this is not my favorite corner prospect on the board here. I look at a guy like Benjamin Morrison, who may not go in the first round, but I think he may be a better prospect. A guy like Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Or my favorite is Siobhan Ravel, who's a freakish athlete who tore his ACL to begin this season. I think he'll give them that versatility that they need on the back end. But I do like the idea of taking a cornerback here. Next, we got the Detroit Lions taking Mike Green, which is probably my second biggest steal of the draft. If you can get Mike Green, a guy out of Marshall, which is a smaller school, here at 28, I think it's a great pick because I think he's actually going to fly up a lot of draft boards. He's maybe not the biggest guy in the world, but he's extremely explosive and quick off the edge. Pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson and a guy like Zadarius Smith, and you're going to have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. And we know that's important to them because to end the season in that loss to the Commanders, they didn't get a single sack the entire game. Here we have the Washington Commanders taking Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. The Commanders' offensive line has played well above expectations, but I think they need to upgrade the talent to protect Jaden Daniels going forward. I agree with this pick. I actually love it. This is a guy who is playing phenomenally well and could have maybe went in the top 12 to 15 picks if he stayed healthy the entire season. So it's going to depend on if he's a healthy scratch coming off that ACL, if he returns as the same player. But if he does, this is a steal of a pick. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills going Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Harmon is a very disruptive player at a deep position in this year's class. He could fill a void with Austin Johnson among the Bills' defensive linemen due to a hit free agency this offseason. I like this pick. I haven't looked at too much into Derek Harmon, but the little bit I have seen, he does jump off the tape a little bit, and they could pair him up against Ed Oliver, and it would make a great interior defensive lineman duo there. Next, you got the Philadelphia Eagles going with TJ Sanders, another defensive tackle out of South Carolina. There's not been a lot of buzz for Sanders, but I thought his tape was outstanding. He's really twitchy and would fit right in with the bevy of talented defensive linemen in Philly. I like TJ Sanders. I don't know how I feel about him in the first round, though. For me, he's a guy who didn't jump off the page as much as maybe he should have, having two great edge rushers on the field with him at all times, but his tape did look decent. So I like him in the early second round, honestly. And then we've got maybe a surprising fall off in this draft with the Kansas City Chiefs taking James Pierce Jr. Some people see Pierce going earlier in round one. While there might be a debate about where he'll land in the draft, there's no doubt about his elite speed and production. I agree with this 100%. I'm one of those people who sees him going in the 20 to 27 range, so I don't know exactly why Daniel Jeremiah had him falling off a cliff here, but if the Chiefs get him, it's going to be an insanely good pick for them, which seems to always happen. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought about Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, and if you want to see mine, check it out right there.